Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Bowles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, indeedy.
Oh my goodness, here we are. We're back in the saddle again. Feel like oh God, what was that movie? Gosh, Blazing Saddles, Blazing Saddles. That goes back a ways. That goes back a ways for you young guys. But anyways, hey, glad you guys are here today. Glad I'm here today. God woke us both up, or you wouldn't be listening to me. And hey, we're glad you're awake. Glad you're awake. We're beating the odds. We're beating some of them. So, hey, with that being said, and I mean that on a very positive note for everybody. But, if you had one chance, one opportunity, would you take it? Or are you just going to let it slip away? I mean, that's the proverbial question, right? And I don't think anybody here on Turfs Up Radio is going to intentionally let an opportunity slip away. But you know what? Sometimes we do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today and on how sometimes things do slip away. But man, we have got a lot of different things we're going to talk about today. We're going to touch in on a little bit of, gosh, COVID, if you will. That seems to be big farm, big farm rolling into the fall. I don't know. We're going to talk a little bit about that and see what that's looking like for you. Talk about everybody's weekend. Got a great thing that I want to bring up. My buddy Dan out in the St. Louis area had on social media. And I love his positive comments that he has every day, getting us all fired up and ready to go. And sometimes it's just a matter of saying, hey, man, we woke up, or hey, have a good day. And, just the little things. And, it's the same way within our businesses. A lot of time it's the little things that if we do the little things, my dad used to say that all the time, you know, he'd be like, Wayne, take care of the little things, the big things take care of themselves. And, there is a ton of truth to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today too. But man, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Weather was just crazy nice. I want to give my friends at BAM Weather a big shout out for giving everybody some nice weather. And oh my gosh, this morning when I walked out, it was almost cool. Katie, did you almost wear long pants today? So, no, it's got to be really cool for me and Katie to hit the long pants. But what I will tell you, I did have them laid out this morning, and I thought, no, because I've got a few appointments after I get off the radio here today. I've got it starting at about 11:30, and I'm going down to see somebody with the University of Louisville here about taking on some additional work. We take care of a little bit of work for them here, and looking for a little more. They called us and reached out to us and said, "Hey." So, hey, we're saying, hey, yeah, we're ready to roll. Absolutely. So, looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. That's going to start me off after my show at, like I said, at 11:30, and got a few more after that. So, been a good morning. Few appointments set. Katie took care of that for me. Thank you, Katie, very much for getting that set. So, I'm going to see a few people today, and glad the phone's finally ringing. Heck, this morning we actually had three calls in at one time, which is pretty steady for us. I mean, yeah, is a good deal. So uh, we've been, like I said, we've been working on getting our phone to ring a little bit, and maybe accomplish that. Maybe we've accomplished that goal. So, but I mean, you're in that transition time of the season too, and this cooler weather and our grass specifically right here in Louisville, in certain areas, is in pretty daggone good shape for being late August. We've certainly seen it a lot worse. And hopefully you guys are seeing some decent weather where you're at too. And honestly, we are a little bit dry now, and we wanted it to get dry. We need it to get dry. We'll see where we're at. It's supposed to be cool for several days, and we'll take it. We'll take it. That's all I'll say is we'll take it. We're not going to complain about it. So thanks, Brett and Matt from Bam Weather for sending us some really good weather, and I'm sure they've sent you guys some too. So because it looks like a pretty good stretch in a lot of places across the country right now. But hey, before we get into that, I want to talk about your weekend and our weekend and what you did. And curious to what some of you guys may have done fun over the weekend. I had a really good weekend. Didn't do a whole lot as far as anything too crazy, but Friday and over the weekend, a couple different times, went with Katie and we looked at a couple houses. Katie's back in the house market a little bit, looking around, trying to sniff out something really nice. So, and I don't know, there's more houses would maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on that, but it seems like right now there's quite a few houses available. We did look at some money pits, though. I'll say that. I mean, this one house we walked into, and no, we're not turning this into a realtor show, but this is in business in general. I'm just trying to understand how somebody that's trying to sell a home doesn't have it looking decent when you show up for an appointment to look at it. I mean, I just don't get it. It's like guys running around in trucks and trailers that are dirty and wheels, literally, three wheels on a tandem axle trailer and, just looking like garbage. I mean, there's a market out there for it, and there's a market out there for these people that don't care about how their houses look when somebody's coming in to look at something to buy it. But man, I just don't get it. I just really don't get it either side from a any business perspective. Fill in the blank. It doesn't matter what it is, but we looked at some couple of them that I was just like, you are shitting me. You walk. This one house looked like they were on the borderline of hoarders, but not quite that bad. And I mean, it was just something else. And then Katie and them, I went to look at in one house. I wasn't with them on this one. They said it looked like should be on an NCIS uh, version. So, like they had a torture room or something down in the basement. But, it's pretty crazy, pretty crazy. So, I share that story with you to tell you that make sure that your business looks good. Make sure that your business looks good all the way around, from, your uniforms, your trucks, your equipment. It's the little things that make the difference. Now, will they sell those houses? Probably so, you know, but I just don't understand why people don't see the value in a good image and how important that is. So that's my image discussion for the day. But the reality of it is look a little bit harder at it. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Still looking. Daniel invited me over for a cookout Saturday night. That was awesome. Or Saturday afternoon. And we had some bison burgers. Those were really good. And I for sure got a bison burger there. Beats my out west trip where I tried to order an I think elk burger one place, and I shared that story with you guys. So we're not going to reiterate that and go over all that again. But yeah, it was really good, man. Daniel grilled them up, and we had some green, not green beans, kale greens, and pork and beans, and all kinds of good pickles and sauce and all kinds of anything you wanted to put on it. Some grilled onions and pretty daggone good. So want to thank Daniel and Caitlin for that. And went to see Holly yesterday. Rode up to Lexington to see her over, and had a good time up there. Didn't spend long. Spent more time getting there and getting home than we did there, actually. Holly had a thing going on yesterday afternoon, but just wanted to go up and have see her this weekend, and we did that and had done lunch. Ramsey's, that was the name of that place. I couldn't think of it. Kyle was asking me this morning, and gosh, I was a little bit under the weather yesterday, and I don't. Oh, oh Lord, looky here, Matt. Hello, Matt. How are you doing, my friend?
Can you hear me?
I
Can you hear me?
I got you, buddy. How are you doing?
I am doing better. I am doing better.
Great.
Um, yeah, a
Glad to
little
hear
bit
it.
of sickness last week, but pulled through. So,
I was just talking about that, man. Not to get into your health and wellness, but what was kept bothering you? Because man, I had a stomach slash back slash chest ache yesterday that was pretty rough, really.
ooh, well, mine was unfortunately I got hand, foot, and mouth. Thanks a lot to
Oh
my
my
daughter.
gosh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's really bad right now. Around kind of central Indiana, where we live and where I work, obviously, and it's rampant at daycare. It's rampant everywhere.
Oh
So
my God. Well, I hope that's going all right for you, man.
it is, it is,
Gosh.
it is. I don't feel last week. I my sore throat and just kind of the whole kit caboodle with it. But
Right.
at this point, I'm good. I feel fine. I'm actually still working from home because I still have a few kind of some blisters here. I don't want to get anyone else at work sick
Right.
with that.
Right.
I
Well,
feel
how's your daughter? Is she all right? I mean,
he is
she didn't
fine.
get it from you, did she? Or you're not, it's not one of those things with kids where everybody, it runs through the family. Hopefully
Well,
not.
you know, I feel like adults usually don't get it. My wife hasn't gotten it. We think my daughter just had a very mild case of it because she got it around Christmas, actually. So maybe her immune response was better to it. But
I see.
I've been kind of I've been in kind of solitary confinement for the past week, just trying to stay away from everybody.
I hear
Uh,
you.
no one else gets it because I don't want to. It's just awful,
Yeah. Hey,
Life
I
got
was just giving you guys a lot of kudos for sending this nice weather around the country. So,
absolutely. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. Perfect weather with football coming right up here. And the weather, for a lot of areas, you know, it's not going to be terribly too active here over the next week. And cooler, some record low temperatures are going to be at play here, kind
really?
of in South Valley. Yeah, for this time of year. For
Yeah.
this time of year.
Who's going to be getting that cool? What part of the country?
Yeah, I'm going to pull this up here. I know there's a couple mornings getting into tomorrow morning and then getting into Wednesday morning where the record low temperatures will be at play. I'm not sure as far south as Louisville here, but I'm going to bring this up real quickly here. Tomorrow morning, well, at least I think some locations from kind of eastern Nebraska to western Ohio, a few areas can rival record low temperatures. Primarily, again, I would say Iowa to Ohio. Not every area is going to see the record lows, but it will at
Right.
least be within some areas. And then getting into Wednesday morning, you know, some areas into to eastern Indiana, western Ohio, eastern Kentucky. So that would be the morning where maybe the Louisville area could at least flirt with some record low temperatures here.
Nice.
So the next two mornings,
Going
cool. I
going to
mean,
be
heck,
cool
you may
ones.
even have frost if you're like northwest of Duluth, far northern central Wisconsin, kind of out in no man's land, so to speak.
Right.
You may even have some pesky frost. So a very strong cold front, and usually with these strong cold fronts, obviously they're bringing in Canadian air, um, and so that's usually pretty darn dry, which is for the overwhelming majority of us, at least kind of in the Ohio Valley. That's not going to lead to a whole lot of precipitation chances. The exception to that today and to tomorrow, if you're kind of downwind of some of the Great Lakes, you don't really think about it in summer, but getting some lake effect type of showers there.
Really?
Yeah.
So that can even happen this time of the year then. That just the contrast in temperature just blowing across all that water.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So typically that's the most pronounced in winter because the water doesn't heat up or cool down a whole lot. So even obviously in winter, you still have the liquid water, and then when you get negative 10 degrees rolling over a 40-degree lake, you get a big temperature difference. And while it's not winter time big temperature difference, it's enough to spark some showers, and we have these weak waves, albeit they don't have much moisture to work with, kind of moving into the area as well. So if
Right.
this was a pattern we get to in winter, probably someone would get some big lake effect snow, but we're not there yet.
We're,
So
yeah, I hear you. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to y'all's winter thing coming up this week. To say
yeah,
the
I
uh,
think
you
Brett
want
was
to
on
tell it?
Friday with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He was.
yeah. So the general idea now for any of your listeners, we think along the East Coast, the big pattern driver here is something we meteorologists talk about all the time: El Nino, La Nina. Right? Which one are we going to be in? This year, we're favoring more of a La Nina, probably a weak La Nina. There's other factors we look at too, and one of the big pattern drivers looking outside of La Nina, El Nino is the Pacific waters in the northern Pacific. And the general idea is those waters out to our west in the Pacific, the air usually travels from west to east. So obviously that impacts our pattern down the line here, but looks to be probably not too active in the East Coast. Probably should be a bit warmer there. There may be one or two cold shots here, but not really a pattern that favors a big nor'easter pattern, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean
Okay.
there can't be any snow, but for here locally, I would say kind of, Indianapolis's of the world, Louisville's of the world, Detroit. We're probably more in the battleground here. Years in the past, like 13, 14, 2008, depends on where you're at. There were some big snows in those areas I just mentioned. I think 13, 14, Indianapolis had 50. I don't think you had a whole lot in Louisville in that year, but 2008, I think you had a few
Right.
bigger snowstorms. Right now, we kind of think the better snow as far as above normal would be kind of Western Michigan, Chicago, Des Moines, Minneapolis, Wisconsin as a whole, generally North Dakota as a whole, kind of the upper tier of the country. Right now, our forecast has Louisville at below normal.
Y'all gonna have to change that.
What would change that?
I said you're gonna have to change that for us. Give you a little pressure, man.
Snows. I do think there could be some snows. I'm concerned. One of the big things as far, especially in the Ohio Valley, is typically, not always, but in winter, a ridge of high pressure sets up in the south and to the east. So if that's a little bit weaker than what we think, the cold air can spill in a little bit further southeast. I would say that would be the risk into the forecast.
I see.
And that would open up the door for a little bit more snow.
We only need
Versus
an
our
inch at a time, Matt. We don't need a whole lot, just 1 inch.
I don't know. I don't know if I can promise you that. It may be one of those patterns where if you get snow, you're going to get a good amount. I do think though this year though with kind of our little bit of a warmer outlook, maybe some ice events for you this year, which
Lord, let's
I'm
hope
sure
not too crazy. I mean, we deal with them, but
yeah, those are I can't even imagine from your all's end, probably very annoying and difficult to track. And I don't know how much money that ultimately brings
but
to your cars. I'm sure you'd rather have a big snowstorm, but
the snow's better than the ice. I mean, the ice it's you deal with it and it's multiple applications of materials. So from a business perspective, it's good, but it just
right.
from a management standpoint and whatnot, it can be a little bit problematic. So
Sure. Yeah. These La Ninas, and we've seen it in some recent years in the past too. If you have any listeners kind of into areas that aren't, commonly dealing with winter weather, your Arkansas and Dallas areas, Oklahoma City areas, kind of central Texas. These La Nina patterns can offer up some ice type of events there too. So I wouldn't be shocked, at some point this winter,
all right,
you get some ice events there as well. But unfortunately or fortunately, probably for a lot of the folks listening to you, the East Coast folks, the pattern does not look incredibly active and snowy, at least for the East Coast along the Atlantic. I'm sure there will be at times some lake effect, which is just, that's just the way of life for
Right.
some of the folks. But I would say, especially concerning lake effect, just where we think it can be a little bit snowier, that would be, I think, Western Michigan,
All right.
Chicago, Wisconsin's upper UP Michigan area.
Okay.
So,
Well, we still got time to change, right?
yeah,
You know,
we still got time to change, and hopefully
you
we
know.
can get this change in a more favorable direction for you. But that is the risk. If there's a risk,
So what
or
what about and I know you're not going to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not asking you to do that. Okay. But
okay.
all this stuff going around social media about the Farmer's Almanac, I'm sure you've seen it. It's.
I don't even know how they come up with
Do
it.
you look at any woolly worms or persimmon seeds, or do y'all use signs?
It's the only sign. I'll tell you what. I went on a walk today with my family
Yeah.
as I trailed behind a little bit. We saw probably 4 different colors of woolly worms this year.
Did you?
So I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
A white one, a brown one, a black
So
one.
you saw all kinds of all
That's
different.
all. So maybe that means we've got a roller coaster of a winter. I don't know.
Uh,
But no, we don't use that. Some people even call the woolly worms woolly bears.
woolly
So
bears. All right. All
I
right.
don't know.
Fair enough. How long's this cool weather going to stick around for us? We getting hot again, you think? Are we 90s coming back at any point?
There may be a stretch in there, kind of into kind of the September 5th or so, out ahead of some cold fronts. But I'm concerned, and this cold front is a good example of data has only trended stronger with some of these cold fronts as we've gotten closer here. There's a few more through September here, and so probably will be a little bit of a roller coaster ride as far as temperatures are concerned. But I'm suspect that we get into the big heat here, maybe a day or two here. But I think these cold fronts just continue to trend stronger here, and I think September as a whole, if you're Ohio Valley and to the northern plains, will feature multiple shots of some cool. Now, if you're in the northern plains, I do think there's some periods of some heat in there in between some of these cold fronts. But for us here, maybe tough, which is not very typical because our last couple of Septembers have been very warm. They've been some of the warmest months versus normal. This year, probably going to be a little bit of a change in that. Just seeing multiple signals for multiple cold fronts here. So maybe that's a good thing for you. Maybe not. I personally, I love fall.
Oh yeah,
so I love it.
Yeah, we like it, and we've kind of given up on the fact that things are going to get dry and turn brown and help us sell lawn renovations.
Yeah.
Because our grass is green pretty well. I mean, it's much better condition than it could be in for August 25th,
Right.
And
I mean, it'll get dry. Probably over the next week, it'll be pretty darn dry. It's just not going to be very hot, so you're not, really pulling that moisture out of the soil. I would think probably it's not going to get too brown as a result. But that's probably more your cup of tea regarding that. But
I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else good you want to share with us? What's the hurricane season looking like?
Yeah. Over the next
for our guys over on the East Coast or West Coast, or not West Coast, but that little.
Sometimes Southwestern California. The tropics are kind of boring right now. The last 2 hurricanes kind of staying off the East Coast, and there's not a whole lot of activity out in the Atlantic right now. The National Hurricane Center is tracking an area, but they have a 0% for development of a tropical depression even. And the models over the next 2 weeks are pretty boring here, so to speak. We'll need to watch getting mid to late September. We're getting into the climatologically maximum time, but for now, it's pretty boring here. And a lot of that is those cold fronts I mentioned. They typically, these cold fronts are kind of kickers here. And so we've had this recent cold front and the one before that, which has kind of kicked the hurricane off even the East Coast. And we keep getting these cold fronts here. That's going to be a bit of a block here for any substantial hurricane development, at least I would say the first half of September. Let's watch the back half, where those may track. We'll see here. But for all intents and purposes, into kind of that medium term forecast, hurricanes look pretty bleak here.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So, hey, just a quick question, man, and I know you need to go. Well, let's get out of here. But when the weather's slow like this all over the country, or in a
Mhm.
large percentage of it, what does what do you guys at BAM do? I know you're always busy. There's a million things to do, but like when you're not tracking a lot of different storms and a lot of different events, what's a day without storms look like in your world?
Well, that's a great question. One, we forecast all across the U.S. So
Right.
while our primary client areas, I'd say anywhere in between North Dakota and Kentucky, there's some type of weather to forecast for. So we're not completely
Right.
barren on those responsibilities. But that does give us more time to focus on, I would call it some other tasks. So obviously long range forecasting, that's going to be about every day, right? For me personally, I do a lot of the South America forecasting here at BAM Weather, and so I'm spending a little bit more time on some seasonal outlooks as the folks in South America start planting, and that's important for global commodity markets in regards to that.
All right.
And then we work on kind of some odds and ends tasks here. So we're going to be starting looking into some training for winter upcoming. We have a lot of new meteorologists, so just making sure everybody's on the same page in regards to that. So some training opportunities, some opportunities
Yeah.
for
I knew y'all would be busy. Yeah.
forensic reports, some coding projects we have, odds and end things like that. So, I mean, we've got plenty to keep us busy, even a little bit of research, whether that's, new forecasting techniques.
Because it's like people ask us same thing, what do you do when you're not in your busy season? There's a million things you can do. There's always stuff, something to do, it's,
yeah, but it's endless really.
Yeah.
The things we have here, but, certainly it's, quiet weather like this, we're not, just wall to the wall busy, anything like that.
Right.
It's definitely a little bit of a more calm atmosphere, but plenty, I would say, plenty for us to do. Especially, we're getting into this time of the year anyway. Folks like yourself, they're trying to figure out what's the winter season like ahead.
Yeah,
we're getting a lot of questions.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out. That's why I was asking too on that specifically was early order on material. I mean, we're there. For us. And we're trying to decide, what's that really look like? How many tons of material do we want to have?
Right. And I don't think we have it yet, but our webinar, which is coming up, I think we'll have some kind of our snowfall totals forecast for some cities here. So be on the lookout for that. I think that'll really help you kind of determine how much material you'll need to get here. But even, farmers, they're trying to ask, is there any frost or freeze risk? And then they're trying to look out ahead for, harvest season's coming up before we know it. So
right.
A lot of these extended questions is kind of on everybody's mind at this time of the year anyway. But this quiet weather certainly gives us a little bit more time to hone in on some of those details as well.
Good deal. Well, Matt, as always, man, I appreciate everything BAM Weather does for us at Wayne's Lawn Service, and the way you guys help us run our business. And I appreciate you hopping on, man, my show today. And
absolutely,
just I wish you the best of luck with your mouth and the blisters.
Thanks, man.
Oh my God,
I'm turning the corner.
Good
so
deal.
I'm hoping I can get back into the office tomorrow or Wednesday. Lord willing, I can. So
Good deal. Well, hey, thanks for hopping on. And you guys need reliable weather, reach out to bamwx.com. They get you set up. And you guys still do your free trial, right? With
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If you're needing kind of that support, meteorological support, where you want to have chat access with us 1-on-1, we can get you set up with the trial. So
good deal. All right. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate you.
yep, have a good one, Wayne. I'll see
All
you.
right. Have a great one. All right. That was Matt with BAM Weather. And like I said, those guys really help us out a lot and can certainly help you with your business too. So, especially for you guys rolling in here in the fall with, fall projects and snow and ice management ideas coming up here shortly. So, um, certainly the return on investment will be there with you. So, hey, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with more profit time here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Don't you go anywhere. All righty then. Welcome back. Welcome back to Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio, Monday morning. Good Lord. Can y'all believe it? Another weekend in the books. And last week, yeah, I guess this is the last week of August, right? Yeah. Today's the 25th. So, yeah, we don't have any 30 seconds of any month. So, holy shnikes. But hey, as we rock on through the week, hope you guys had a good Monday morning kickoff. Hope everybody showed up to work. Hope your crews are out. No problems going on. So, college football kicked off this week a little bit. Week 0, however, you have a week 0. I don't know. But high school football kicked off here in our area as well. So that's always a big start to the fall season. And I'm sure those guys appreciated those cooler temperatures this week playing around because tell you what, sometimes it's really pretty extreme and shorter running clocks and everything else, especially from the high school side. But man, they had perfect weather. But something I learned this weekend, and I mean, we're not turning this into a sports talk show, but I just had to share it with you guys just so make sure you all have heard this or know this. But Daniel was telling me that there's no college game day this year in college football. I mean, I don't know how many of y'all like college football, but I do. I like watching it, and better than professional football, quite honestly. And I like professional football, but that college game day show I just liked it, and I can't imagine why they cut it. I mean, I don't know. Was it budget, Daniel? Did you hear? Yeah. Daniel said it was budget. And I mean, they did have some pretty high powered actors, if you will, or not. They're not actors. They're celebrities, commentators, whatever, But man, I'm really sad to see that go. And wait a minute, Kyle just said it's not canceled. Let's see. Wow. So they just canceled one out. Our producer just said they're going to be in Columbus this weekend, and now we got dueling Googles going, so we'll see. But I was going to say, man, that was just something to lose that. But gosh, that might have been some bad info. Well, it wasn't bad info. They certainly didn't have it last weekend. You know, which you would think kickoff weekend you're going to have your big kickoff show, but we'll see how that all goes. But I don't know. We'll keep you posted on that. We certainly missed it last weekend because I did get up and was rolling around and turned it on. Um, Corey says Lee Corso is retiring, so maybe that's part of it too. That'd be something. He deserves it. Hell, man, he's been going, for a long, long time. So hopefully he enjoys that retirement. But we'll see how that goes or doesn't go. But be glad to see it if they're really going to rock it on out this weekend, and be glad to have them back and rolling down hard. I used to love that field goal thing they started. That was really cool. The pressure of just pulling out somebody out, one of them students out of the stand or kids out of the stand, and kick. That was always pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, yeah, football season is amongst us. Yes, my high school, where I went to school, they had a big game this weekend. They won big, so it was exciting. They actually won too big, honestly. If you want to know the truth, it's hard to. I, well, when I say too big, Daniel set up sounding like I know where he was going, but what I mean by too big is it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough competition. And, Daniel says a win's a win, and I agree. I mean, huh? Which time? Yeah, you sound like my dad now. My dad used to say that all the time, Daniel. Nobody remembers second place. And yeah, true that, true that. All right, so yeah, they had a big win. I think it's 56-0. So or something in that order. But running clock and that whole deal. So go Rocks on that. For anybody listening to us that may be a Trinity fan here in our part of the state or region, or shoot, there's been a lot of guys move away from Louisville that might be listening to us. So, hey, but anyway, yeah, go Rocks. But hey, just curious what you guys are into today. You doing a little mowing, little landscaping, little spraying, renovations. Renovations are well underway for us. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I wanted to give Dan Robertson a big shout out, my buddy out there in St. Louis. I talked a little bit about him before Matt hopped on, but he put something up in social media, and he's always very positively motivated, and for everybody, not just him, but for all of us. He always gives you a good tip of the day. I need to get him to do us a Turfs Up Radio tip of the week thing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna reach out to him for that. But and if you're listening, Dan, would love you to do it because I know you listen to us quite a bit. So hey, this is Dan with such and such. This is your Turfs Up Radio tip of the week, man. Do one of those for us. Anybody do one of those. Anybody listening to us, be sure to do that. Give that shout out and send it to me. And you can make it anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute, just telling us what the tip is that you've got to offer all of our listeners. And we'd love to have yours. Love to have yours. You can send it to me after you record it. Just your name, your company name, where you're located from. And this is your Turfs Up Radio tip of the week. And send that to me. And you can send it to 502 550 8307. That's 502 550 8307. But Dan put something out there that I wanted to share with everybody because it's very valid. And I thought it made me think about yesterday when I went to Holly's. Getting back was quite an adventure because they were doing work on a couple of the interstate systems we got here, so we took the alternate route. And this is something that my sister brought up. It made really good sense. Why is the alternate route also having work done on it the same day? So we took an alternate route, which took us down a state road, which was okay. But then they're working on that, and that's backed up. So you would think that you wouldn't have the work going on both routes the same day on a weekend. But anyway, they did. But Dan said in his post, and it has nothing to do with that, but it has everything to do with it. He said, every time you burn your toast, miss an exit, miss a flight, or get stuck in traffic, you're actually being delayed for a reason. You're being redirected to a different path. What feels like an inconvenience is actually protecting you from something unseen. Even if you don't get where you want it to go, you'll always end up where you're meant to be. Trust the process. And I mean, that's pretty solid, really. I mean, you moan and groan and complain about something that takes you out of your way or out of order, or God, that ain't going to work, or that's going to take us longer to get there, or whatever the reason is. But what we don't know were the consequences of staying on the same path we were on. And like a lot of things that Dan talks about, how much that really relates to any of our businesses. Think about it. How many things within your business that if you don't change and you stay on that same path all the time, then more than likely a lot of things aren't going to change. There's not going to be different. It goes back to, you know, the Albert Einstein thing of, and I'm kind of taking a stretch on this, but just work with me on it a second. Where you're doing the same thing over and over, you can't expect a different result. So maybe a little bit of inconvenience of taking a new path in your business, a new diversification, or even doing the same thing, just a different way. Let's look at it from that standpoint. Hey, maybe you don't go out and become a jack of all trades and a master of none by adding all these diversified services, although there is benefit to diversification without a doubt. I challenge you to ask yourself, and yeah, it's Monday, so it's time to think. We're not going to take it easy on you on a Monday. When's the last time you did something different? When's the last time you said, hey, you know what? Instead of getting up and walking down the same path in the same direction, I'm going to take a right-hand turn or I'm going to take a left-hand turn, and we've got a great little discussion about that, that I love to talk about, when I'm talking to contractors, that complacency is a business killer. And so, to Dan's point, don't get mad because you burn your toast or miss an exit or get in traffic. It's all happening for a reason. And then, you say, well, yeah, but because of that, something negatively impacted my routine or negatively impacted what I was trying to get done by a certain time. But what we will never, ever know is what were the consequences of staying the same. But what we do know is if we don't change, we can't expect a different result. So, Dan, I just want to give you a shout out, man, for, putting that up there and helping me go down the road of, bringing that a little harder and further into business perspective for me. And that's why I wanted to share that with you guys, is because sometimes we just got to look at the way we're doing something and say, hey, let's change that. We haven't changed. We haven't done anything different. So let's put up a roadblock. Let's put up some construction. Let's miss an exit. Let's do whatever it is we got to do within our business to do something different and better, so we can analyze and see what a different result is going to be. And speaking of doing something different and better, tonight at 7 p.m., we've got our webinar in the Profit Circle, and I'd like to invite each and every one of you guys to that. Of course, everybody that's in with us in the Profit Circle. But if you would like to join the Profit Circle with us tonight and sit in on our webinar, it's going to be a great opportunity to listen to Kate. Katie's going to present some in that. We also have Alyssa, who is actually completely out of the industry. Alyssa Bretz, who is Director of Admissions of Rise Point, and that's a company that they work with colleges and schools across the country with recruiting and financial aid and all kinds of aspects of just going to college. But the reason we're bringing her in tonight is we're going to be talking about scripts in your business. And Katie, Alyssa, and myself are going to be talking about scripts and how to implement scripts within your business, that scripts without being a script too. So yeah, it's not going to be, okay, well, here's a script, read this and go line by line here. No, it's going to be much more than that, much better than that. And we'd love to have you tonight. So if you'd like to join us and you're not a member of the Profit Circle, just simply go to our website, profitsorus.com. That's profits, AREUS.com. And at the top there, you'll see a link right there for the Profit Circle, and you can join and you get your link and be right there tonight at 7 p.m. So be there or be square. No, we'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. So we look forward to seeing you there tonight. And also this week is week prior to Labor Day, right? Everybody knows that. So just time to start thinking about how you're going to be handling the holiday. And maybe you say, well, Wayne, we should have had that in place a long time ago. Well, you do. But hey, as you know, weather affects everything we do, right? I mean, you guys know it. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So, but based on certain weather conditions, and it looks like this week's going to be great weather, we should be able to stay on schedule really well and get some things accomplished where, hey, we don't have to do a lot of what if scenarios, that we run into a lot when we have to rearrange schedules based on weather. So, just curious how you guys do it. We'll talk more about that Wednesday, a little further in detail on it. But if you haven't thought about it, think about it. Hey, you're going to try to work next week. You're going to be off next week. Or is it going to be, hey, we'll work the holiday, but we'll take comp time off another day. So just some things to be thinking about. A lot to think about. When you run a business, it's not easy. If it was, everybody do it. you know. Now you got some people out there say, "Oh yeah, if you got everything in place, it runs itself." Well, yeah, they do. You can have great policies, procedures, or whatever you want to call them, systems, in place, and yes, they can run smoothly. But also, there's a lot of bumps in the road, and if you don't have bumps in the road in your business, I'm going to tell you you're lying. I'm just gonna that's my that I know we're not on Friday, but that's my truth bomb for today. If you're going to sit here and tell somebody that you don't have bumps within your daily operations, I think you might be fibbing just a little bit. So, and I think people appreciate people that generally don't fib. To tell you about how perfect everything is in their little world. But the reality is we all got shit we got to deal with, you know, and but we can implement systems and things to make those things not farther and few between, but have things in place and how we react to certain situations within our business, whether it's a customer complaint or fill in the blank on what it may be. It could be a million different things. That's the $1 million question, you know. But and I appreciate you guys in the Profit Circle, Daniel. We actually had a couple questions come through Profit Circle, so we'll be getting those videos out to y'all. We'll probably see what we can do to get those taken care of for you today. And that's one of my favorite things we do is our video responses to questions that come through. Because I'd much rather do a video on something and talk to somebody that way versus writing out a response. Just better in my opinion. So keep those questions coming, and you guys feel free to keep your questions coming here on Turfs Up Radio too. Ideas for shows and whatnot. We are certainly doing the aeration and seeding thing right now pretty heavy at WLS. We haven't actually started our seeding, but we'll start next week when we get back in here. Hopefully, we got some good weather during September. It sounds like it. And talking to Matt, that we're going to have some pretty decent weather. So this week's going to be a little bit drier but sunny, so that's always great. And we can always get people watering. So we can get those lawns ready. So we still got a few kill outs people we had to wait on, but still scheduling that work. And hey, I just want to remind you guys that it's not too late. It's not too late to do aeration and overseeding. It's not too late to inform your customers that it's the service that you can provide and give them the benefits of aeration and overseeding for their lawns, or at minimum aeration. And there's really no reason not to overseed, because grass plants have a life cycle, just like people do. And that's something that a lot of times we forget about, and we forget to tell our customers uh, about, is the life cycle of their grass plants. Um, and we're not going to get into all that today, but that is certainly a reason why aeration and broadcast seeding after aeration is a really good idea. And sometimes the best plan is a total renovation. That's something we need to think about too. But too many times the fear factor holds us back as contractors, and we miss out on a really, really nice opportunity to put on some extra fall money. I mean, let's look at it just from a very, very small perspective. Let's look at it from a very, very small perspective, you know. And this is for a guy that, or a business owner that says, "Hey, I don't want to go out and buy a machine." Well, you don't have to buy an aerator machine. You can rent the thing for 2 or 3 days or a day, or however many jobs you sell. You know, rent one, but offer the service. I mean, you know, let's just look at it from a very small perspective. Let's say this fall you do 40 aeration jobs, and they're only $200 a piece. That $8,000 goes a long way toward putting a little honey into the bank. Yep. And I said honey, kind of like a bee, you got that money. They got that honey they make, and they got it there in their, what do they call that thing where the honey's at? Yeah, in the hive. You know, Fall's a great time to, generate some extra cash that you wouldn't otherwise have from mowing or landscaping. Or whatever service it is that you're providing. Now, you may want to say, hey, well, Wayne, I'm not going to take away from landscaping time or lighting time or irrigation time to fool around with aerating lawns. I've got enough of that other work scheduled that's, bigger tickets. Well, then do your bigger tickets. But for a person that's sitting in there saying, hey, I'm predominantly a mowing contractor, lawns are slowing down a little bit, but leaf season hasn't started in yet. And we got several shows here in the near future where we're going to talk about leaf removal and leaf cleanup and preparing for that whole thing. But you can take the time, spend a little money on renting an aerator, and make a decent amount of money in a very relatively short period of time. And why not? That's what I really want you to ask yourself. Instead of why, ask yourself why not. We'll be right back with more Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. Well, can y'all believe it? Here we are up on it again. 11 o'clock. I'm going to bail out of here on time today. I've got several appointments. I've got, I think, 3 that I got immediately following my show today. So I'm going to go out and see what I can do to maybe earn my keep around here at WLS. So appreciate you guys listening to me. Stay tuned all day long here on Turfs Up Radio. You guys in the Profit Circle, be sure to join us tonight at 7 for our webinar on scripts. And if you guys that aren't involved in the Profit Circle, feel free to join us tonight as well. Just simply go to our website, join up in the Profit Circle, and we'll see you tonight at 7. You guys have a great day. Stay tuned all day long here on Turfs Up Radio. And remember, profit is not a dirty word.